Hello everybody and welcome to Oregairu Season 3 Episode 11 Anime Review. This week's episode, it hit me. It hit me in the soul. It did. It sort of dawned in this week's episode that, hey, we're at the end, you know? We've got one more episode, obviously, but it is sort of like that feeling when you just sit back and you're like, oh, it's the finale, you know? It hit you. That last scene especially with Hikigaya and Yukino, which I'm sure we'll talk about in great length later on. Yeah, it hits you, and it hits you quite hard. You might not be prepared for it, but yeah, it's been a journey, you know? It's flown by this season, to be honest. It's interesting how you can make a series with just basically awkward teenagers and make it really interesting. So there's that. Anyway, let's get into the episode, see exactly how everything went down, and do this thing. We pick up where we left off in last week's episode with Hikigaya talking to Haratsuka sensei about all his problems, basically. She tells him that, hey, there's more than one way to say a single word. Basically, if you can't say it in one word, say it in loads of words, or use your actions. She then writes love and says, I love you, and I'm like, Hikigaya, go for that one. The sensei's right there, do it. Sensei route is open, go for it. But no. Don't know if she meant it like romantically, more as like an interesting test subject is what we'll call him. That's sort of how I see it. It's not exactly she's not about to start shagging the student. Or maybe she is. What do I know? He then, after this, he basically makes up his mind from this conversation. He's like, he's going to damage this bogus relationship so much to the point that some of it is genuine. And what else did he say? I deliberately screwed up my youth and now I'm going to end it. He has some great lines that only make sense in context. Like, outside of context, don't make much sense at all. But in context, make a lot of sense. His romantic comedy youth was wrong as expected because he screwed it up himself, basically. Which makes sense, I guess. Later on, Yui's waiting for him and they're going to have a big long talk now. And yeah, this is basically the you know, if you were supporting Yui, you know, this was hard to watch, wasn't it? Yui was waiting for him, as I said. She asked him, hey, are you really okay with how this is going? And he has a little think. And she says, if you're ready, I can tell you my important wish. It was just this whole scene was like, oh, I can feel it. I can feel it. Thankfully, they didn't go flat out for the rejection, because I think that would have been too easy to do, almost. Like you know, sorry, but I can't, you know. It would have been a bit too easy, and I'm glad they were smarter than that. He knows the club has to end, but he thinks it's unacceptable if Yukino is like, not bartering it up, I wrote it down, like compromising it for something else she lost. So basically, the club can end, but only if, you know, not necessarily all the participants are okay with that, but if if they're all okay with it, like they've accepted it. And Yukino maybe hasn't at this point. He was gonna say it was like, it's my fault, I'm going to take responsibility for it, but then he changed his mind. He's like, no, I'm not going to say that. He says, no, truth is, I just don't want to stop associating with Yukino. And Yui's face at this was just like, oh, I see now. Yeah, it wasn't even I see now, it was like, oh, okay, I really have no chance. Which, hey, makes sense. If he gives up now, it'll end, you'll never talk to Yukino again, because they said, like, yeah, we'll probably meet every so often, pass her in the hall, but then he was like, but I'm not like that, though. I don't do those kind of things. He's like, no, he doesn't. He's a Hikigaya. He doesn't talk to people if he can help it. So, yeah, he's bad at communicating. But really, what he wants is what Yui wants is the three of them to hang out on their lazy afternoons instead of just the two of them. So, gotta do that. Gotta do that. This'll take some preparation, does Hikigaya say. At first I was like, no, it won't. But then we see how much preparation he actually did later on. And it's like, whoa, man. You got your point across, but damn, dude, just talk like a normal person. Nah, it's cool. If he did, it wouldn't be as interesting. He says, one day I'll be better, basically better at talking, better at doing whatever. And he says, Yui, you don't have to wait for that. And she's like, I'm not waiting. Which, you know, that could mean so many things. I'm not even going to begin to unpack that. It's literally half this stuff is open to interpretation, I feel like. And yeah, feels bad for Yui, this whole scene. This whole scene was basically just, yeah, okay. It was like the most polite putting down of your ship ever. Although, like, at this point it doesn't really matter if you're Team Yukino or Team Yui. You know, it's beyond being just a basic love triangle at this point. It's something a lot more. Short section where they separate, Yui gets left at home, and she's got no more tears to cry, she waves him off and everything. She's cried enough, no more tears. Psych, actually, there's lots of tears, She's still crying a lot, obviously. This is the big tear moment. Yui Gamama's there, gives her a big old hug, and it's like, yeah, I know, it sucks. Like, so she must have known the whole time. I mean, they all knew the whole time, really. Like, this isn't a surprise to anyone, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. So, yeah, big ol' hug. What does she say? Like, the word love isn't enough for this. It's our first romance or something, and it's like, kinda, you know. I get the feeling she's using it in a different way to the traditional term. It's so many different interpretations of the words, and I'm not very. I passed my word class. Word class was English class. Didn't mean I was very good at it. Like, they're smart. They're smarter than me. Let's just say that much. The next day, or a couple days later, not exactly sure, Iroha is interrogating Hachiman's assistants, allies, willing participants we'll go with. Basically, Hikigaya set up another prom website, without the student council knowledge, and Iroha's like, what the hell's going on? Like, no, he's meeting with the Yukinoshitas while this is going on, we'll get to that later on. Iroha nobody really knows what Hikigaya's up to. They did what he asked, but they're not really sure. Also, Iroha just, like, not even put on any kind of act. She's just acting like regular old Iroha. You see what you get, and it's, yeah, nobody gets it. Iroha doesn't understand. None of the assistants understand. Just what is Hikigaya up to? I have no idea. In fact, at this point, I really didn't have any idea. I was like, what's he doing? That's a bit silly. Why are you doing that, Hikigaya? Of course, everything would later be revealed. And it's just because he's really awkward. Is the incredibly basic short version of it. It's just because he's an awkward little boy. Little boy? He's quite tall. Tall boy. So even in the meeting with the Yukinoshitas, nobody really gets what he's up to. Like, Yukino Mama doesn't get it. Haruno doesn't really get it. Yukino doesn't get it. Nobody really gets what he's doing. Basically, he says, yes, some people weren't very happy with weren't completely satisfied with our first prom. And it's just like, oh, Haruno. Haruno's the one that wasn't satisfied. So he's like, I think we'll just do it again, do-over, I guess. Basically he says, I thought my plan was better in every way, so I'm just going to do my one. It's basically his explanation, which is a crap explanation, but at the same time it's a genius explanation, because that's just what you'd expect. Hikigaya knows he's getting involved in the Yukinoshita family business with the, it's affecting them because it's going to affect their reputation, and if they let it go, they explain it. I'm not going to go into great detail on that. He knows what he's into, and Yukino Mama just glares at him basically like, oh, do you now? Everyone says it's impossible, Yukino and the other two as well. And Higi says like, well, yeah, it'd be impossible for me, but I've got the best backup because someone with all the experience of setting up a prom, it's Yukino. Hey, Yukino, you going to help me? And she's just like, what? What are you making? What are you signing me up for, basically? Mama doesn't want Yukino involved in a project that's going to be an absolute failure, so she basically says, Yukino, you decide for yourself what you want to do. And that she does. The answer is obvious. He's baiting her. Like, she sees he's baiting her, but takes the bait anyway because, hey, give up isn't in their dictionary. And hey, they get to spend more time together, so that's good. He says, save me. That was a nice touch. He's like, please save me this time. Nice touch. Nice little touch. And then what does Mama say? Mama says, like, make sure you see it through to the end, which, again, I've said it a lot this episode, could have multiple meanings. Yukino Mama could be absolutely onto what he's doing. Wouldn't surprise me. Like, she was looking at Hikigaya when she said that, really. She was, like, looking at both of them. Like, it was, so, could have been implied it was at Hikigaya as well as Yukino. Who knows, though? Not me, because I'm reading between the lines and I might be, like, looking at different lines, if you get what I'm saying. But I've gone quite quick through this because we just want to get to the main event, and that we do. So Yukino and Hikigaya are on their way home, I guess, and they're just walking. There's this nice atmosphere between them, and it's like, there's a point where you realize it's happening, and I'll get to it when we get to it. Yukino, what is it? Yukino Mama gave Yukino the same look she gives Haruno. Whether that means she's like, you know, you did good, or it's like, you're the worst, I'm giving up on you. That we're not too sure on yet, but who can say? Who can say? He says he doesn't want to stop association and everything. And she was like, you didn't have to go to all this trouble. And he's like, yes, I did. We're both crap at socializing, so this was the only way I could figure to do it. And I'm like, okay, Hikigaya, you do you, my friend. He's letting her walk away. She walks away from him. He lets her go, but then he's like, nope, not this time. I'm gonna say it. I'm not letting you go. Grabs her hand, and at the point when he grabbed her hand, it's like, oh, we're doing this. We're doing this now. I thought they might have saved it for like next week's episode to, you know, just end on the big moment. But no, they did it this week, and it was, you know, he says what? It's not an obligation, I feel, but it's like, I want to have that responsibility. Like, I want to be responsible for helping you, basically. He has great lines. I'm not going to go over this whole speech because it's really good, and quite frankly, if you haven't seen it, you should see it for yourself. There are some key lines in here. It's like, what was it? Please, hang on, let me have the privilege of distorting your life, which is basically the closest way you can say I love you without saying I love you. This whole scene is just how to say I love you without saying it, like, at all. Like, it's pretty funny. Yeah, it's great. He says, like, only a little. He's like, I'm not sure I'll be able to drastically change your life, but just little things here and there, you know, let me have that. And Yukino punches him a couple times, basically saying, almost saying, like, stop putting yourself down, because she's like, that's not a fair trade, you know, almost like, you gotta be, not that you gotta be better, it's like, you're putting my life as more worth than yours, and she's like, no, my life's not worth much at all, and he's like, well, that's good then, because obviously I'm bottom of the barrel, so the less gap there actually is, then that's better for me, you know. You know, don't wanna owe you any debt, I guess. It is quite nice. Here's another good line, like, if everybody's useless, then no one is, and it's like, damn, that hit me hard. That's like, that was a good, again, Hikigaya having good lines. What? Who could have guessed? But no, the whole thing was good. I'm not going to go into all of it because I haven't wrote most of it in my notes, because I was just taking it in, quite frankly. The whole scene is really good. The little things, like, it's incredible how you can make a talking scene so engaging, but they managed it. It was good. The blushes on their faces. They both know what they were saying, even if they couldn't say it in concise words, you know. He says what? It's like, I'll give you everything even if you don't want it, basically. And then what does she say? Please let me have your life, which sounds like she's planning on murdering him. I'm going to be completely honest. When the line popped up, I was like, oh my god, is she going to stab him? Imagine how like the series just changes like that. Yukino stabs Hikigaya and she's a serial killer the whole time. I almost want to see that just for the funny factor of it. But no, they sorted themselves out. And then of course the ending, the credits was Yukino. The credits song was Yukino solo, which makes a lot of sense at this point. Curious to see where we go. That was where we ended. Just about. The whole thing was great. You know, they hugged. I didn't even mention this. They were like proper hugging. It was nice. Nice to see them. I was gonna say show personality. That's not what I meant at all. Show warmth, care for each other. Just nice to see them hug. Quite frankly, God, it was good. It was good. It was a good confession scene. I want to do that because, you know, they didn't say the exact words, but they said those words in a lot more words, if that makes sense. They got there. To them, it made sense. It was a very them confession, and it was good. I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot indeed. So yeah, that was the end of the episode. They're doing the thing. Like, next week's episode is called "My Teen Romantic Comedy Is Wrong as I Expected," which is, you know, the name of the show in some areas. Some places it's got SNAFU in the name. It's very confusing. Just stick to one title, please. Like, the localized light novels and the anime have got different titles, but they're basically the same. Sort that out. I don't care if they gotta, you know, negotiate with each other. Do that. But yeah, I'm excited to see the finale, I guess. It's going to be one of them moments where I think I'm not going to feel empty, but I think I'm going to feel satisfied. Because I don't know how people are reacting to this ending. I don't particularly care too much how people are reacting to this ending sequence, but I think this has been alright, you know. I had heard, not any spoilers, but, you know, when the light novel finished, people weren't too happy, some people. But so far, I'm pretty okay with this, you know. This doesn't you know, piss me off. I think this is an alright ending. It could be better. Oh, excuse me. Could be better, but I like it. Anyway, let's get to my favourite part of the episode. So my favourite part of the episode, an episode full of good parts, was, just to put it simply, it was the confession scene. Of course it was. Everything's been building up to this for certainly this season. You could argue for, you know, a bit longer than this whole season. But everything has definitely been building to it, and I think it was good, you know. Got me a little bit teary-eyed, you know. It was, it got me good. And that is, you know, I wouldn't say I'm particularly Team Yukino. I think, honestly, I was more Team Yui. Like, if we're going, I wasn't especially Team anyone, but I think I was more Team Yui than Team Yukino. So, I mean, you know, would it have been interesting to see a Yui ending? Yeah, but it's not the kind of, like, there are some series where you can definitely pull off the, like, having alternate endings. Like, I know, We Never Learn's doing that, the manga, like, every girl's getting an ending. Some series could do that. If this series had done that, it would have been a bloody cop-out, and you know it, you know? Like, there is a big difference, obviously, in those two shows. I'm not disputing that. And yeah, if this show had done that, it would have been, you know, a bit like, okay, you know. It would have took a lot away if they had, because it's not really how it goes, you know. This whole thing's been about Hikigaya. I mean, the whole, to put it bluntly, the whole show is about Hikigaya's growth as a human. If you compare, like, beginning Hikigaya to, like, end Hikigaya, completely different. Obviously, yes, the other characters as well, but if we boil it down to its most basic components, it's Hikigaya, isn't it? He is the show in a nutshell. Like, if you changed Hikigaya, you'd have a completely different show, basically, which is very interesting. I'm looking forward to the finale, you know. This has definitely been, Oregairu, I think, has been one of the more understated things this season, despite getting good ratings. I just don't see anyone talking about it, really. But it's been a bloody treat to, maybe it's because it's season 3 and maybe not that many people are watching it, who knows. I think that's not true, though. I think people are watching it. Anyway, I've started rambling now. It's really good, is what I'm saying. I think I'll wrap up now. Thank you, everybody, for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing and stuff for more reviews. If the lighting or anything is slightly off this week, I'm playing with different lighting, trying to get things, you know, in order, trying to figure things out. Obviously, that means there might be some mistakes sometimes. That's just what happens. But anyway, as I said, see you next week. Take care. And bye, guys.